everyone.
Welcome to the Radio English Conversation Program.
This is the second day of our week-long special, Valerie and Jeff on the Road.
This series, we're traveling down the Japan Sea coast from Izumo to Hagi, seeing the sights and meeting lots of great people.
Well, today we're going to talk about Kabuki a little bit. Jeff, do you like Kabuki?
Well, yeah, I really do, and I've seen it a lot, but I never realized that it had any sort of a connection with Izumo.
Right.
I just thought of, Kansai and Kanto, but what is the connection, Valerie?
Well, I actually learned this myself this trip. Izumo no Okuni is the person who apparently is said to have started Kabuki, and she is from Izumo. She was a priestess at Izumo Taisha and has a big part in the history of the Izumo area.
Oh, is that right?
And I spoke with a local priest of a shrine there who is a scholar who's very famous on Izumo.
Oh, really?
He knows a lot about Izumo,
Yeah.
and his name is Mr. Hara Ryojun. So let's listen to him. He talks about Izumo no Okuni and her life.
Great.
I'm standing in front of a sculpture of Okuni, Izumo no Okuni, who is said to have started Kabuki. And I'm going to speak with Mr. Hara, who is of the Anyo Temple here in Izumo, and he's going to tell me more about Okuni. Hara-san, 出雲阿国は歌舞伎の始祖だと言われてるんですけれども、もう少しお国自身の話をしていただけないでしょうか。
そうですね。お国はですね、大社の生まれ、でして、出雲大社、有名な出雲大社の巫女さんをしておりました。巫女さんというのは、お祈りをする際にこの舞を舞うわけですね。そういう巫女さんをしておって、そして京都へ出るわけですわ。最初はこのややこ踊りとかね、それから念仏踊りとかそういう踊りを自分たちで作って、京都の四条の河原で、四条河原と言いますが、そこでいろいろねみんなを集めて、踊ったわけです。それが大変好評を得てですね、そして有名になったわけですわ。
So Okuni was originally a miko-san with the temple here in Izumo, and she would dance in offering to the gods, sort of dance in honor of the gods at the temple. And then at some point she went to Kyoto with a group of other people to secure funds for the temple, which is always in need of money. And it was there that she began to dance, such dances as the Yayako Odori, which I believe is a dance for small children. And this became very popular. This took place in the Shijogawara area of Kyoto, and she gained a lot of popularity there. Hara-san, いつ頃生まれたんでしょうか、お国さんは。
お国の生まれは、はっきりですね、記録に残っていないですけどもね、京都へね、今の一行が出た年号が1588年ですね。日本の年代でいうと天正16年ですが、お国が32歳の時に京都へ出て今の踊りを皆さんの前でね、歌舞伎の初めになるようなその踊りをねやったわけですわ。ここに見られるようなこの男装の姿でね、刀を刺して扇子を持ってね、非常に当時としてはとてもね皆さんが考えられないようなね、そういう女性としてはねとても男装の姿をしてこういう踊りを踊ったということは非常に当時の人にはねびっくりした驚いた舞であったと、踊りであったと。
So in Kyoto, she started the Kabuki dance, what we know as Kabuki dance today. And I think probably the most shocking of all for the people at that time was she was dressed as a man when she performed this dance. The figure in front of us here, where we're standing, in fact, represents her holding two swords, which must have just been really a surprise for people to see a woman in such an appearance of that time. So she did perform in Kyoto in front of the great lord in Kyoto, and received many gifts and many honors from him at that time.
まあ、そういうふうに有名になってから、まあ、年を取って、この大社の地へ帰ってくるわけで、故郷へ帰ってくるわけですけども、その、いつ頃帰ったかということは、はっきりこれもね、分かっておりませんけども、今の大社へ帰ってから、ちっちゃなお寺をね、お寺といっても分かりますか、お堂を作って、そこでお経を読みながらですね、観音様というか、観音様を信仰してですね、お祭りをして、一生を終えて75歳で、亡くなったわけですよね。
So after having gone to Kyoto at age 32, she spent how many years is not known there, and then eventually did return to Izumo, where she built a temple, which is very near here, called Rengaji, and became a nun, and lived until she was 75 years old. And she spent her remaining years in deference to the Kannon-sama, the goddesses of mercy, that she built, or that she had erected there in her temple, to sort of take care of them and in return receive their favors until she was to die at age 75. And there was a fire eventually which destroyed the temple of Rengaji. So that's the story of Okuni.
Wow, so she really has her origins in the Izumo shrine, right?
That's right. She was a priestess there, as Hara-san told us. Yeah. And, of course, one of the jobs of the priestesses are to get money to keep the shrine going. Right. And this is what sent her off to do her dances in the city of Kyoto.
Kind of a mission, huh?
Right, exactly. And little did she know that her mission would turn into something as popular as it is now, Kabuki.
Well, what made it so popular, Valerie?
Well, I think part of it was that there had never been any kind of dance like this before. Also, the fact that she dressed as a man.
It's kind of like the Takarazuka today, huh?
Yes, it's kind of like that. It really attracted the attention of the viewers. So, this is where Kabuki started with her in Kyoto. It's funny, we think of Kabuki today as a very sophisticated cultural art, right. Which it is.
Yeah, certainly.
But at the time, apparently, it was a very, perhaps what we might think of as punk today. Maybe that's a little too severe. Mm-hmm. But it was something very out of the ordinary and for the commoners.
Oh, really? It wasn't for nobility and lords and people like that?
No. Mm-mm. Up until that time, No and Kyogen had occupied that role.
Yeah.
And Kabuki was something that took over along with other sort of more relaxed types of entertainment, juggling and mime and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Okuni started this tradition with her appearance on stage as a man. And at that time, a lot of other women started to join her on stage dressed as various things, as men for one thing.
Yeah.
But apparently the relationship with the audience began to degenerate into a sort of exchange for favors, according to one theory.
Yes, uh-huh.
And eventually women were banned from the stage.
Oh, I see.
And young men started taking over this role as kabuki performers.
Yeah.
But the same thing happened, and it became kind of a free-for-all party, and people started to lose a sense of the theater, really.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so now today, of course, it's men again who are performing, and they dress as women. It's kind of a reverse.
But there isn't that same sort of, well, certainly not that relationship between the audience and, but today right. Kabuki is rather staid. You know, the audience is
yes.
quiet and claps at the right time and everything.
It's become literature, and it was really more just popular entertainment at that time.
And so maybe at first Okuni really, being a very great dancer, it was kind of an art form for her.
Yes, I think so.
But maybe the people who imitated her were not quite on the same wavelength.
Well, this is hard for us to really know, but some theories have that, yes. Let's listen to Mr. Hara talk now about the Kannon. I'm standing in the main hall of Anyoji, Mr. Hara's temple, and it's exquisite, really. The gold hangs from everywhere, yet it's colorful. It doesn't have an overwhelming, ominous feeling. It's got a lot of life and light coming through here. It is over in the corner that he has the Kannon-sama, which he is going to show me now.
16番と24番の番号が下に書いてありましてね、16番と24番の観音さんがここのお寺へ残っておるわけですね。あとはもうどこ行ったかね、わからないです。まあそういうわけでね、観音さんはこの2体ほどこの安養寺に、安置してあります。安置というのはね、飾ってね、お祭りしてあります。
So I'm looking at the two of the 33 Kannon-sama that were left after the fire at Rengaji. And Mr. Hara has them kept and preserved beautifully here. They're obviously very old, but they're still very alive. And he's got them on the altar with the offerings to them. And apparently they're even numbered. He's got number 16, and I think he said number 24 on his altar here. Well, Mr. Hara is quite a collector of Okuni goods. Not only does he have the Kannon-sama, he also has the mirror that Okuni used and some prayer beads. So he let me see them.
Wow, that was a privilege.
Yes. So I'm actually holding in my hand the mirror, the bronze mirror that Okuni was said to have received from the Lord in Kyoto, as well as the rosary, which is also here before my eyes. It's a very tiny little rosary. この数珠もやはりそうでしたね。
大変ね、その当時としてはね、立派なね、一般の人が使っていないようなね、立派な数珠だということが言われておると、伝えられておるというか。はい。
So these are not the prayer beads that were used by the everyday people at the time. These are a very special type of prayer bead, which was also probably given to her at the same time that she received the mirror, according to Mr. Hara. お国の命日にはやっぱりここのお寺でお経を読んだりするんですか？
お国のね、亡くなった日にね、主にお国顕彰会といってね、お国を称える会がありますからね、その人たちがね、集まって毎年ここで法要といってね、お経をあげて、お国を偲んでいるというのはね、どう言いますか、そういうね、法要をしておるということをね。
So on the 15th of September every year, people gather here at this temple to, I guess, Okuni fans gather here to pay a tribute to her on the date of her death. I'm not certain that the date of her death was actually September 15th, but this is the day that they have set aside to read the sutras and sort of pay a tribute to Okuni every year. So there is a lot of mystery, really, around her story and her history.
Yeah.
But the people of IZUMO firmly believe that what you've just heard is the story of IZUMO, of Okuni.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she died in IZUMO, right?
She died there, and there's actually a gravestone erected on her grave.
Oh, did you visit it?
Did visit it, yes. It was beautiful. It was very lovely.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So some people say that she's not from IZUMO, of course. There always will be theories to contradict other theories.
Mm-hmm.
But the people of IZUMO, and especially Mr. Hara, are very proud of this.
Well, she spent a long time there in any case.
Yes, that's right.
And she's very much a part of their hearts.
And what's tomorrow, Jeff, by the way?
Something very much a part of my heart. Someone. I interviewed a very charming and intelligent young American who's living in IZUMO to find out what it's like to live there.
Well, if you'd like to hear more, please join us again tomorrow for the continuation of Valerie
and Jeff
on the road.